Hello and welcome to this short video where I will explain about the Microsoft Power Platform, Power PPM for project portfolio management, and how we can connect to other systems that are used for task management or task execution, Kanban boards and whatnot. So for today, I'm going to go straight ahead and start presenting some live stuff here. So we are right now inside the Power PPM Universe. This is the app my company has built for project portfolio management and many other things for that matter. And on the left-hand side here, we have obviously a welcome page. We have some reports that I'm not going to go through in details today, but essentially it's trying to connect all the dots across all the work that takes place. So any type of investment, product that's being managed, or projects that are being started up, or maybe even ideas should sort of surface management reports so that we can take better decisions. And essentially that's what project portfolio management is all about, taking better decisions and aligning against strategy. That being said, even though we see many different project names down here, doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same tool that all of these projects and especially the tasks are managed within. And that is a topic for today and this video in particular. So if we go again to the left-hand side to the initiatives overview, you will notice that there's a task tool column here where you will see Power PPM, which is our out-of-the-box Power Apps all-up approach to planning tasks, more like a traditional approach with a Gantt chart and so forth. But it could also be Jira, it could be DevOps, Azure Boards for those that are into software development especially, but also Smartsheet, Trello, Project for the Web Planner, essentially any sort of tool that's out there that can manage a task in, and I guess that's way above 1,000 these days. Sometimes companies allow for different project team members or project managers or team leads to pick their own tool of choice. So instead of just bringing your device to the office, you also bring your way of planning or managing tasks, whether that be Kanban and tools and so forth. So in that scenario, you could actually play around with the idea that you will allow people to use a tool to manage, for instance, I'm going to get back to the Smartsheet part, but to manage the master data for your projects. Whereas some perhaps are managed more traditional, like this one that I'm showing you here, where you have cost-benefit analysis. This is some of the things that Power PPM does for you out of the box, but other videos are out there presenting this. But here you can also look at the timeline, and that's where we sort of out of the box handle and deal with what we call tasks. So simple VBS structure, some would call it a Gantt chart, some would call it a timeline, essentially customizable, all running in Dataverse, but mainly for traditional type of work. We also connect to Planner, but if you have something going on outside of the Microsoft EcoSuite, then what? So if we click up here on this one, you'll notice that I've created a Smartsheet area. Again, I'm not the expert in Smartsheet, but I do know that you have something called workbooks and you have something called sheets, or workspaces, sorry, and sheets. And in here you can then create new sheets, and each sheet can be a project, just a normal task list, sort of a Kanban board, or just a grid like Excel, and so forth. So if I go in here and say I want to create a new grid, perhaps like this, I can give it a name, my video demo, demo, and hit OK. And once this is in, you can open it up and do whatever you want with it. That's where you have to be a better user within Smartsheet than I am. But I'm sure you can go ahead and create some tasks, for instance, change the columns to being something else than just a column, so the type of column. You can even show a Gantt chart I can see right here, and then you need some date columns and so forth. But again, the point here is that now I'm doing the video demo, and as I'm speaking, I have a Microsoft Power Automate flow running right here, which is always waiting for something to be created. Now, what this does essentially is pretty basic stuff. In this case, it says that every time a new sheet is created in Smartsheet, and just notice here that Smartsheet has a variety of connectors to the Microsoft Power Automate platform. So there are so many things you can do connecting Smartsheet to some of your Microsoft applications, which is super great, this being one of them. So every time a new sheet has been created in Smartsheet, it goes ahead and into the Power Apps or Dataverse platform. This is the place where we store all our data inside this PPM landscape. Every time a new sheet is created, also create then down here a new table or a new entry, so to speak, a new initiative. Give it the same name as it has in Jira, or sorry, not Jira, Smartsheet, but it could have been Jira. And go ahead also, and then you can see all the fields that are mapped to initiatives in this case. Add the URL as well, and make sure the task tool that's being defined is Smartsheet. So pretty basic. So hopefully when I go back here to this one and we click down here, you will see that a minute ago, it took a second for Power Automate to process this. If you open it up, you can then see that after a new sheet was created, there's a check mark, it went in, and then it created something down here called Video Demo in the Initiatives bucket, which essentially means that if I go ahead to this overview and click on the front page, then if we go to video, let me just search for video here, like this, you will find the video demo is here. The task tool has been set. And if we open it up again, you will also see the corresponding URL right here. So if I click on that one, it goes straight back through to the Smartsheet place where I then need access. Apparently I don't have that in this trial, but I think you get the point. So if I then take another Smartsheet sheet that I have access to, just take this one, then one of the things that Smartsheet does is that it allows you to also work with the data. So if we load up this one, there we go, you'll notice that it's embedding Smartsheet inside here, but you can also go in and just change stuff like you would in any sort of Excel or other tools that you have. And whether or not you want this data to then be synchronized back to the overall management of, for instance, the project, or use it to sort of predict, for instance, a financial forecast, which is something that Power PPM does for you. That's up to you. Or if you just want sort of a loose connection saying we know this is going on, for instance, in Smartsheet, therefore we are tagging it in a certain way. The URL is set, and we can then use that to drive Power BI reports that looks across both your task tools and also your sort of portfolio management engine. So that was just one example. The other one could be that you use something like Monday.com. Now, Monday.com still doesn't have any real connectors to Microsoft Power Automate, but if we click on it, what Monday.com allows you to do is still to come with these sort of off-the-shelf URLs that you can use to embed your data, sort of like here in an iframe, where you can still play around with it or have shortcuts sending you through to where you want to then go in and work with the data. So in this case, you would have to open up in Monday.com, but you could easily show what's happening in Monday.com in the same place where you manage your business case with your more sort of traditional approach to managing risks, for instance, or financials, as I mentioned before, or some of the other things we have inside Power PPM. And of course, this can all roll up so that when you look at portfolios up here, you also have for each portfolio, for instance, this one, the overview on what's happening in your initiatives bucket, perhaps. And this would be the same thing as before. As you can see right now, nothing is really going on here that has to do with Smartsheet, except for the top one here. But the new one we just created called, it was this one, Video Demo. I can select that now and just add it into my portfolio. It should come in here in just a second. There we go. So now you'll see the video demo being right here. And then at some point it gets data, so you can start to connect it and compare it against some of the other initiatives that are in the portfolio pool. So the point here is actually that you can quickly allow portfolio managers to get the overview across the tools that are used. You can manage the business case of your projects or initiatives or products streamlined within the Power App or Power PPM in this case. But you can still allow some of your users to work in the tool of choice they might have for managing tasks. And I think that's the new way of working these days, that some will use tools like Project for the Web. This is the new Microsoft project. Some use the old Microsoft project. We also integrate with that. Some use tools like Monday or Trello. Some use Smartsheet. But end of day, doesn't really matter as long as we can sort of drill all our way through to what's happening where. Sometimes just visually show the data, other times create a nice looking report, other times just sort of a read-only viewer. And then when you want to, again, work with the data, you would have to click and go back to where it all started and manage your work in that tool. Now, all of what I'm showing you today can also be done inside Teams. So that's just a no-brainer that if you use Teams, probably you should do your work there. But the point is the same thing. We come with what we call Power PPM as the umbrella, the portfolio management, strategy management cockpit that allows you to do a whole lot of things to what is called project execution or strategy execution, product management. But we still allow you to use the tool of choice if you have a variety of tools. So I hope you like this small demo. Don't hesitate to reach out. We would happily show this in more details. Find us at www.projectum.com or reach out to me directly, pk@projectum.com. Bye-bye.